Taking your worship leadership to the next level, part 4. Men and women are different. It's not just the plumbing. If you don't consider and prioritize the men, you'll lose them. And this leads to the second E in the word level. Encourage the men. Now, I know this is going to sound incredibly chauvinistic, but hear me out. You need give little consideration to the ladies when it comes to the songs and singing aspect of worship. I've noticed that most women naturally gravitate to group singing. It's a really strange phenomenon. But just whip out an acoustic guitar and have a few lines of poetry ready, and the sisters are into it almost automatically. Singing songs in community appears to be naturally pleasing and engaging to them. For most guys, not so much. Now, speaking for myself, if I hear about a long set of praise and worship music that I'm going to have to endure, I'm very tempted to saturate that place with my absence. If there's the prospect that at some point I'm going to have to hold hands with another dude or express my emotion publicly, you can forget about it. And I don't think I'm the exception. In fact, as a former religious professional myself, I've led worship events, prayer meetings, small groups, and on. Even having invested heavily in those experiences, I have to admit to you that I don't prefer them. I'd much rather play an instrument or even lead a song vocally from a stage than to participate from the audience. And this seems to be the way of men. We are generally action-oriented. For the most part, we consider people who display extreme emotion publicly to be terrifying, if female, or sissies, if male. We want to express our love for Christ, but not in a feminine way. Not for the most part. Now, this is a generalization. Hear me out. If your worship does not account for the profound difference between men and women in worship, we will disengage and look for opportunities to get out. If you'll shoot for the men, pun intended, you'll get the women as well. You see, it's cool for women to join men in traditionally male activities, but it's definitely not cool for men to join women in traditionally female activities. So let me offer a few suggestions to help encourage the men in worship. And so here they are. The first one is keep it short. We're good with 1 or 2 songs. Please don't force us to sing more than 3. We no more desire a long set of songs than a long sermon. We don't prefer the long sermons either, and they're not as great as you think they are. Remember, as men, we tend to connect more to God through action than words. So please, keep it short. Second, don't make us sing "Jesus is my boyfriend" songs. Yeah, I can hear it now. I know. The church is the bride of Christ. I get it. The metaphor is appropriate for the church as a whole in relation to our Savior. But it's just plain weird to make us, as men, sing modern love songs to a guy. Give us more of the masculine attributes of God. Rather than singing about developing our personal relationship with Jesus, call us to bold action and sacrifice in His name. You see, we were made to fight the good fight of faith, not say yes to the dress. So please don't make us sing "Jesus is my boyfriend" songs. Third, beware of your tendency to promote public displays of emotion as the purpose of worship. We are not fangirls. Why do you want us to raise our hands, scream, cry, and maybe pass out? Romans 12 tells us to offer our bodies as living sacrifices, as acceptable worship to God. Public affect might be a part of that sacrifice for some, but don't make feelings the report card of your worship set. And certainly don't make public display of emotion a report card on our faithfulness as men. That's totally inappropriate. Fourth, make sure the song is in a singable key. One of the biggest errors that worship teams make is to play songs in a key that they prefer or a key that matches the lead singer's vocal comfort. If the song is being led by a high tenor and it's a comfortable range for him, you're going to lose most of the men. We'll either attempt to copy the headache-inducing lead, or we'll dive to the basement an octave lower, and then pretty soon we'll abandon our terrible Barry White imitation. So try to make the song in a comfortable, singable key, especially for men. And then fifth, strive for undistracting excellence. You don't need to have the vocal chops of Michael Bublé, but if your voice is thin and slides out of key, please let somebody else lead the song. The instrumentalists need not be virtuosos, but if they are error-prone or can't keep the proper rhythm, ask them to develop a greater level of proficiency at home before going on stage. If they can't produce undistracting excellence musically, maybe you should release them to explore other forms of ministry. Just a thought. If men matter, this should matter too. Whether right or wrong, men tend to attach their identity to things they perceive as excellent. Now let me add, and again, trigger warning, this is going to sound very sexist. Being nurturers, the ladies tend to overlook cringe-worthy performers and presenters. Bless their hearts. You will only get the loyalty of men for what you produce by striving for undistracting excellence in your worship sets. So please, give us a break. Make it a priority to encourage men in worship. And remember, if you'll shoot for the men, you'll get the women too.